Hello there. This is Doug Blair. I live in Kitchener now, 2022. I was raised in London. I went to London Central High School, went to University of Western Ontario and law school. Graduated in 1974. Subsequent moves to Chatham, Ontario, and then to KW, where I've been for the last 35 years. I was delighted to see posts on this Facebook group about were you attending London, Ontario in the 50s and the 60s? Well, I graduated from high school in 1969. What I want to address here is the whole question of race and relationship. I posted something in one of my comments about going to the old London Arena and watching the Harlem Globetrotters play basketball, and they were a delight, obviously. I had a great time. In one of the games, they employed the services of Dutch Decker, who was in phys ed at the YMCA at one point and at Western University at another. And Dutch was a great official for volleyball and for basketball, and the Globetrotters used him. And he was tremendous in his ball handling. They started throwing stuff at him just to see how good he was with his hands, and kicked the ball up from the floor into his waiting palm. He did all kinds of things. Perfect timing to walk under the ball as it came down, hit him on the top of the head, stuff like that. Dutch Decker, great guy. What I want to address has to do with my dad's business, sporting goods store right downtown next to the old YMCA. He was a ticket outlet for Detroit professional sports: hockey, baseball, basketball, football. And he recalls hearing back from some friends who took complimentary tickets from Jack Blair and went to see a basketball game. And after the basketball game, they were thirsty and they wanted to relax a bit before the drive back to London. So in Detroit, they entered a bar only to discover that the patrons were all black-skinned. We're talking 60s, early 70s. No, 60s. And they shrugged their shoulders and said, well, we just want a bar. We're from Ontario. We're harmless. Let's go and do this. So they sat at the bar. They ordered a drink. There were two of them. And this great big imposing black fella comes up to him and starts talking to him as if he's a long lost friend. How you doing, guys? My goodness, this is so good to see you, man. How long's it been? When was the last time? Where were we? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, here, let me buy you a drink. So he buys them a drink. And he's sitting there, and he's not coming up with a lot more conversation. He throws them the occasional smile. He looks around the room. Dark room. Dark room. And then he says, can I buy you another one? I'd be happy to buy you a second drink. And he does that. So he's now bought 4 drinks. They don't know who the heck he is. And he's standing there like some kind of bodyguard. So he says, must be time to go, eh? Here, let me see you out to the parking lot. Why, it's been great to have this little bit of a reunion. And out they go. And he's watching people that he passes by. As soon as they're out in the parking lot, some distance from the entrance to the bar, he says, don't you ever do that again. I don't know your names and I don't want to. But I will now consider you some of the dumbest people I've ever seen in Detroit, Michigan. Don't you realize the threat you had going there when you went in? There were 4 guys that watched you, and I knew they were planning that as soon as you went into the washroom to deal with some of your liquid excess, they were going to go in there with weapons and roll you for cash and whatever else they might find, jewelry, etc. I knew that was the plan. So it was the only thing I could think of doing is make you a real buddy to the black folk, which I did. Consider yourselves very lucky. I still don't want to know your names. And that was the end of the story. And these guys would go, whoo! And they come back to London, and it was pretty quick. The next Monday, they went into Jack Blair's store and said, well, the game was great, but guess what happened to us? That's the sort of thing that went on. And we still see in the news things that start with, an inbred attitude toward skin colors. Also, I remember going to the Silverdome football. Great big superstructure held up by air pressure. Pontiac, Michigan. And we parked the car, Dad and I, and I'm in my teens now, probably mid-high school. He says, Doug, you see all those guys over there approaching people, those black fellas? So this is my dad's attitude. He's nervous. He says, I don't want you to look at them, talk to them, respond to any comment they might make. Those guys are all about trouble. They want to rip you off, and I don't know what else they want to do, but it's not good. So I'm telling you, put your head down, follow me, head right for that gate over there, and we'll get inside to the big stadium. So I'm thinking, well, I don't know about this. And so it remained in my own attitude toward race until I moved to Chatham, which I did with a law practice in 1977 for about a decade. And all kinds of black folk there who can trace their roots back to northbound escaping slaves out of the deep American South. Lots of history about Canadian, Afro-Canadian culture and experience in Chatham, Dresden, Blenheim, Shrewsbury, Buxton, a whole bunch of places down there. And they make a big deal about it. Now there are museums and there are displays in Chatham having to do with African culture. And that experience down there made a totally different feel about it for my family. Hillary, myself, our daughter Lauren, we met some splendid people. We went on some church-related crusade trips by bus. We sang, we clapped, we enjoyed each other's company. And I remember one time a church group down there, a bunch of young couples, decided to go to the great big Fox Theater in Detroit, and we were going to see gospel music performers, Sandy Patty and Larnell Harris, one white, one black. We get in this huge lineup, and it is a greatly mixed color, and it is all about fun and enjoyment and partnership in the faith. Made a great difference. Changed my whole outlook, changed the outlook of Hillary and of Lauren. So I just thought I'd mention that because, we may forget that we came out of turbulent times. Very turbulent times. That's all I'll say for now. Thanks a lot, Butch.